There was a poor woodcutter. He lived in a small house near the forest. Every day, he woke up early and went to the forest. He cut wood and sold it in the market. This was how he earned money for food and clothes. The woodcutter was a good and honest man. He never took anything that was not his. He worked very hard but never complained. Even when he was tired, he did not stop. He knew that hard work was important. The woodcutter loved his axe. It was old, but it was strong. He used it every day to cut wood. He took care of it because he could not buy a new one. Without his axe, he could not work. One day, the woodcutter went to the forest as usual. He walked to a big river. There were many trees near the water. He wanted to cut some wood there. He did not know that something would happen that day. The woodcutter stood near the river. He held his axe and started to cut a tree. The sun was hot, and he was sweating. But he did not stop. He wanted to finish his work. Suddenly, his hands became tired. His grip on the axe became weak. Then, the axe slipped from his hands. It fell into the river with a big splash. The water was deep and fast. The axe sank to the bottom. The woodcutter looked at the river. He could not see his axe. It was gone. His heart felt heavy. He sat down on a rock. He knew he could not work without his axe. He had no money to buy a new one. He felt very sad. The woodcutter did not know what to do. He looked at the river again. He wished he could get his axe back. But the water was too deep. He could not go in. He felt helpless. The woodcutter sat by the river. He felt very sad. He did not know how to get his axe back. He put his hands on his face and thought about what to do. Suddenly, the water in the river started to move. The woodcutter looked up. A bright light came from the water. Then, a beautiful fairy came out of the river. She had a kind face and shiny clothes. She looked at the woodcutter. The woodcutter was surprised. He had never seen a fairy before. He watched as the fairy moved closer. She seemed to know why he was sad. The fairy did not look angry or scary. She looked kind and gentle. The woodcutter felt a little hope in his heart. He did not know what would happen next. The fairy went into the water. After a few moments, she came back. In her hands, she held a shiny golden axe. It looked very beautiful. The fairy showed the axe to the woodcutter. The woodcutter looked at the golden axe. It was not his axe. His axe was old and simple. He shook his head. The golden axe was not his. The fairy went into the water again. This time, she brought a silver axe. It was also very bright and beautiful. The fairy showed it to the woodcutter. The woodcutter looked at the silver axe. It was not his axe. His axe was not shiny. It was not made of silver. Again, he shook his head. The silver axe was not his. The fairy went into the water one more time. When she came back, she had an old and simple axe. It was the woodcutter's axe. The woodcutter looked at the axe. This was his axe. He felt happy. His axe was back. The woodcutter looked at his axe. He felt very happy. This was the axe he used every day. Now, he could work again. The fairy smiled. She was pleased with the woodcutter. He did not take the golden axe. He did not take the silver axe. He only took his own axe. He was honest. The fairy wanted to reward him. She gave him all 3 axes. Now, he had his old axe, the golden axe, and the silver axe. The woodcutter was surprised. He did not expect this gift. The woodcutter felt grateful. He held the axes and thanked the fairy in his heart. Then, the fairy disappeared into the water. The river was quiet again. The woodcutter walked home with the 3 axes. He was happy, not just because of the axes, but because he did the right thing. The woodcutter went home with his 3 axes. He was very happy. He told his friends about what happened. Everyone was amazed. They saw that honesty is a good thing. The woodcutter kept working hard. He did not become lazy. He still used his old axe to cut wood. He did not sell the golden axe or the silver axe. He kept them as a gift from the fairy. People in the village respected the woodcutter. They knew he was an honest man. They trusted him. They wanted to be like him. The story of the woodcutter spread to many places. People learned an important lesson. If you are honest, good things will happen to you. Honesty is always rewarded.